So for instance, I wanted to show you guys a video today on 60 Minutes, and I guess I will just have to describe it to you guys because there's no other way to do this. So the video was basically an investment group or an investment firm, a gentleman talking about how he's buying up properties all over he calls it the Sun Belt, which are all your warmer states. Think Florida, Texas, Phoenix, right? All the places where it's desirable to move to because it's warmer, you have less taxes, things like that. And he's talking to the woman on 60 Minutes, describing how they're doing this and that they have lots of investment and they're making money, like so much money, right? That they actually said they made 67% more than they made the year prior. This is how much money these investment groups are making on buying up your homes. But I want to start off just by mentioning something. I live in my own home. We're not renters. But I want to mention there's a lot of selfish boomers, selfish Gen Xers, and people who have some money, some income, some properties that don't give a shit about the generation coming up. They don't give a shit about whether or not you're going to have a home or own a home. They just love the idea of being able to take advantage of what's there, right? And this is the selfish mentality. And how I know this is just, for instance, right across the street from us, when this was like last year, I think, when obviously the houses were just out of this world expensive, right? The prices skyrocketed. Every house like doubled in value, right? So this woman sold her house, and we asked her, who did you sell your house to? And her response was, well, it wasn't what I wanted. It was an investment group. An investment group bought it. And we're thinking to ourselves, that is so fucking selfish. For a number of reasons, it's selfish. Number one, it brings down the value of our property because now we have more renters in the neighborhood. We don't have homeowners, people who are, owning that property and live there and reside there. And I know many of you people know what I'm talking about out there that have a house or live in a neighborhood where you just see it turning into a rental property neighborhood where there's nothing but people in and out and they're just renting. That changes I guess it changes everything about where you live, but it also changes the kind of people that you get in the neighborhood, because you get people that genuinely don't care, right? As a homeowner, I'm going to be more apt to want to take care of my yard. I'm going to be more likely to check around and make sure the neighborhood is okay. I'm going to be more invested in the neighborhood. That's not the case when you have renters. They know they're not there permanently, and it's not their forever home. It's definitely not their dream home. It's a lot of people that are just passing through. So with that being said, I will find a way to show you a piece of what he said. Give me a second.
Millennials, and that tends to be our primary resident, they would probably tell you that they don't necessarily desire to own a home or to own a car. They've grown up in the sharing economy, and for what's important to them is lifestyle, right? And so if they can move into this, what we call a turnkey or hotel-ready home, and have a low-maintenance lifestyle, that's very...
So as you heard there, what the gentleman said, you guys don't want to own a home. Tell me if that is true for you younger people in your 20s and 30s. I have a sneaky suspicion millennials still want to own land. They still want to own properties, just as you do, sir. He's sitting there from the comfort of his millions of dollars that he's sitting on thinking, you guys just want to rent. You really don't want to own anything. But ask him how many things he owns, how much land and property he owns. She didn't ask that. I would have turned around as an interview and been like, well, is that something you would do? You would just rent for the rest of your life and never want to own a property, never want to own a car, never want to drive, is that something you're interested in? I feel like a lot of these interviewers, they're so effed up in their, like she's over there sitting smirking. And you need to go watch this interview because it's absolutely disgusting. They're taking away a privilege that they've had, their grandparents have had, their parents probably have, and taking that away from young people, making them believe that they should live in vans, live van life, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, live in tiny homes. This is a huge problem that I see happening, and I see young people accepting it. My own daughter right now, who's in college, we got her into an apartment or a condo, and it looks like a freaking prison. It looks like a prison. And I said to her, "You don't feel uncomfortable living here?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Why not? You grew up in an environment where you have windows everywhere, you can go outside." "Yeah, but it's not a big deal." I'm like, what is wrong with these kids nowadays? What is wrong with you guys? Some of them won't even drive, by the way. Some of them, if you ask them, they don't even have a desire to drive. They think they're just going to be using self-driving vehicles everywhere, which strong possibility that might be true. If you look at this video carefully, it is literally George Orwell's 1984 coming to fruition. It is literally a timeline of people that are freaking lazy. They don't want to maintain anything, which I have to agree, maintaining a home is a lot of work. And anyone who has a home will tell you it's a lot of work. But they don't want to work. And that's really what it boils down to, is people who are lazy and would rather people take care of their problems for them, and they don't have to own anything, because who knows, maybe some of them are not even thinking long term. They're not thinking that they'll have children to pass anything on to, birth rates going down. I just don't know. It's just so weird to me. But watch this couple.
People your age want to rent, that you're not as interested in buying a house.
No, I mean, I think the American dream is owning your own property and having your own dirt that you own. That's specifically why we moved here.
Now, this is not to say, and arguably, everybody has the right to what they desire and what they want in life. I could tell you it's not for everyone. Some people prefer renting. Good for you. I'm happy for you. But people should be given the option. And now I'm not going to show the rest of the video, because obviously that's probably why this whole change for TikTok with the green screen is they just want to minimize people plagiarizing and taking other people's videos and not really offering any context, which I do see a lot on YouTube as well, where people just are side-by-siding themselves with people and not really offering any insight. They're just basically pirating people's videos. But that's neither here nor there. Back to the subject. The subject at hand is, I'm curious how many of you guys really genuinely think that this is a valid thing that he's saying. Because he said in this video, only 2% of the market is investors and groups like his that are big corporate, businesses, corporations that are doing this. I don't buy that for a freaking minute, not for even a second. I believe it's way more than that. I could just take a look down my block to see that there are more investment groups buying up properties than ever before. And yes, it definitely, I agree with him. It is in certain states that it's more prevalent. It's in places where it's nicer, the climate is more friendly, and they stand to make a huge amount of money because either there's a lot of new companies cropping up, or it's a desirable location for business. And, that's what they're trying to do. And I see this in the next 10 years, not 15-minute cities, but just renter communities, meaning no one's going to own anything, as George Orwell said. No one's going to own anything, and they're going to be content and happy. You see it a lot happening nowadays. When people start to say no to this and stop selling like my neighbors did to people just that they know is bad people, then this will change. But until then, let the greed commence. Have a great day, and remember to think for yourself.